Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? My name is Jeffrey Anderson, and this is the first episode of the Sports Porch. Thank you so much for watching, tuning in, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, anywhere you get your podcast from. Thank you all for listening. This is something I've wanted to do for a really long time now, and I'm glad that with this whole coronavirus thing, I finally get an excuse to do it. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So today we're gonna talk about two topics, but they'll be pretty beefy. Lots of stuff to cover within them. So first off, Formula One is back, so we'll be talking about that, the Austrian Grand Prix that happened this weekend, and then we'll be talking about the PGA Tour. There have been 4 events so far for the season, so we're just gonna recap quickly through those, and that's it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the Austrian Grand Prix, the first Formula One event of the year, happened this weekend at the Red Bull Ring. And all I gotta say is, for this race, thank you for the back markers wrecking. Because otherwise, this would have been a snooze fest. Bottas and Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, at one point were just cruising ahead of everyone else. At one point, they were like 10 seconds ahead of people, doing typical Mercedes things. So it's good that we had some safety car incidents, because otherwise this race would have been really boring. And this race also, I just want to say, this race proves that it's still, even with the extra time that every team got, the extra testing along with the winter testing they had, it just proves that Mercedes is still like above everyone else. So here's like everyone else, and then Mercedes is still just way up here. They said during the race they were having gearbox issues apparently, because at the Red Bull Ring you have those super hard turn barriers. What do you call it? I don't even know what to call them. Super hard corners, super rough, makes the car wobble all over the place, and knocking stuff loose and whatnot. And they were having gearbox issues, and it didn't even matter because they were still able to outpace everybody, even without taking those sharp corners. It was ridiculous. It's just insane how good Mercedes are at this point. Also, speaking of cars being retired, 9 retirements of cars. I think that just shows how much the circuit, the toll it takes on the cars. Hopefully next week they're racing there again. Hopefully it can not be that bad, because 9 cars, that's just ridiculous. There are various reasons for those. One of the favorites of the race, Max Verstappen, who looked like he was going to secure a podium at very least, had mechanical issues. Really heartbreaking for him. Like I said, he could have easily secured a podium at this race. And that would have been a really good way for him to start off his season and potentially making a run at the Drivers' Championship this year. Also, poor Kimi Räikkönen literally had his wheel fall off toward the end of the race. That was another safety car incident, and I feel bad for the guy. It's not too often your entire wheel just falls off of your car. And then we get to another car who had to retire, Alex Albon, who had to retire because of mechanical issues. But before that happened, we had the spin out. Him and Hamilton, they were going on that banking right turn. Albon goes to the outside. Hamilton's on the inside. Hamilton appears to sort of just nudge him off the track just a little bit. People have their opinions on this. Albon was wrong. Hamilton was wrong. Here's what I think. I think that Albon, I think he's a great driver. I love Alex Albon. He's definitely a great number 2 for Red Bull to have. That, to me, was just a sign of him being young, not having the patience. Because for those of you who don't know, they had just recently had a safety car incident. He had gone in to get soft tires, while the 2 Mercedes cars ahead of him, Hamilton and Bottas, were still on the hard tires, I believe. Hards or mediums? I believe they were on hards. Anyway, he had the better set of tires, So basically, it was a matter of time before he would eventually pass Hamilton. Who knows if he would have caught in Bottas, but he was right on Hamilton's heels. And that was one of those things, there was like 10 laps to go. It's just like, did you have to make the move that early? You definitely could have waited for a better opportunity, I guess. But I do understand why he made the move. Like I said, he's still young in the sport. It's only his second year. So to me, I think the blame goes to Hamilton on this. You could see in the video, it looked like Hamilton had plenty of room still at the bottom, and he just sort of drifted up and seemed to not even know that Albon was there. Basically just ran him off the track. So that's my thoughts on that incident. Hopefully we don't get anything like that next race, and hopefully clean slate, nobody has to argue about anything that happened during the race, but I'm sure that will come anyway. Next, Lando Norris, first ever podium at just 20 years of age, I believe. That's the best finish that McLaren have had in a while, their best podium. He started out qualifying. He qualified third place. During the race, he sort of slipped back into fifth, sort of settled in, I guess. But then luckily for him, there were a couple incidents, such as with Albon being out of the race after getting spun out by Lewis. He was able to get that third position back, along with getting a point for the purple lap. That's right, he had the fastest lap, and all this came at right at the end of the race. Due to Lewis Hamilton's 5-second penalty that came from a result as the spin out, and Norris finished somewhere within 4.7, 4.8 seconds behind him. So because of that, through some luck, through some consistent driving, after dropping down to fifth, he was able to take home his first podium. First one in a while for McLaren. First one for Norris. Congratulations to both of them. Zach Brown has done incredible work with McLaren. All around, great race for them. So overall for the race, it became very exciting. After that initial lull we had, it was nice to see F1 come back. It was exciting just to watch cars racing, but Valtteri really got off to a crazy big lead at the beginning. And this sort of led to a lull for a little bit at the beginning of the race. And like I said, once those safety cars came out and we had to get everybody back together in the grid, things got a little more interesting and we got some more drama. Overall, congratulations to Valtteri Bottas. He deserves it, deserves the win. And that's the Austrian Grand Prix. So let's go over, for me, some winners and losers of this Austrian Grand Prix. We're going to go by some teams here. The first winner is Mercedes, obviously. They are still the cream of the crop. They are not going anywhere this year. Even with the 5-second penalty, Lewis Hamilton still finished fourth. I mean, these guys are just insane. They are like I said before, they're just a step above everybody else. It's Mercedes, and everyone else is trying to catch up to them. Hopefully some teams can make some ground even later in the year or next year, because at this point, it's just ridiculous. Another winner is McLaren. They had a phenomenal qualifying from Lando Norris, P3. Great race from both Norris and Carlos Sainz, the second driver, if you will, who finished fifth. And it puts them in a good spot, really, for the best of the rest race, which is, for those of you who don't know, fourth and below. So everybody kind of establishes the big three, or the ones who are going to be top three, are Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull in any given order that could happen. And this really puts McLaren at a good spot to take that fourth place, or potentially, if they're lucky, even challenge for a third place spot. That would be crazy. I don't know if they'll be able to make it work. I don't know if they'll be able to get the kind of luck they did in this race, with some teams doing bad, and we'll talk about those later. But yeah, good on McLaren. Good way to start the season. Really show people, hey, we're here to do some business, and we're not going anywhere. Next, this is going to come as maybe a bit of a shocker, but I'm going to put Williams in there. Now, you may be wondering, Williams, what? They had a driver crash out early in the race, and then they had Latifi only finish 11th. Well, this is Williams we're talking about here, and for them, getting someone to 11th is an amazing achievement. Before that, George Russell, who was the other driver for Williams, was having a really good race. He was up to 12th in a Williams car. They haven't done that in so long. They've been the laughingstock of F1, and it was really good to see a Williams car almost finish with points. Just insane stuff from Williams. Really, like, kind of head turning. You're like, what? Williams was doing that during the race? Really? They could have taken 12th with Russell? It's just insane. So, good on them. I'm not sure if this will be like this for the rest of the year or not, but hopefully they can keep up this success, if you will, throughout the rest of their races this year. All right, losers. Let's talk about them. My first loser is Ferrari, and basically this whole list will be anyone who had a Ferrari engine in their car. I know that Charles Leclerc had an amazing race, started in 7th, finished in 2nd. That's all good. But this race, for me, just left a sour taste in my mouth for Ferrari. Just abysmal qualifying. 7th place for Leclerc, 11th place for Sebastian Vettel. Just terrible. They lost. There was a graph that F1 put out between teams losing time and gaining time through qualifying from last year, and it was every single Ferrari engine car. Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Ferrari were all like losing seconds compared to last year. So did they get points? Yes. Did they have a person finish second? Yes. But is Ferrari the kind of team who is satisfied with not only just finishing second, but having a driver finish 10th in a race and getting 1 point? I think for Ferrari standards, this race was salvaged, I guess, the best that it could have been. But they can't come out of the gate like this next week. They have to have Vettel at least 5th or better, in my opinion, to sort of show us that they are back on their feet, I guess. And until then, I'm not convinced that Ferrari can even take a run at Mercedes. Maybe even, who knows, they might finish 4th this year. I don't know. Charles Leclerc is good enough where I think he can take any car, really, and put it in a podium spot. So who knows? Maybe they will find a way to finish second. I think that Red Bull will finish second this year, and this race, to me, was apparent of that. But we'll talk about that in a second. My next loser is Haas. Man, things just keep getting worse for this team. After Roman Grosjean spun out, what's new there? He was forced to retire because of his mechanical issues. And then only a few laps later, Kevin Magnussen, who's having a good race, just barrels into turn 3 and lost his brakes. This is a team that last year just took a nosedive. They were looking like someone who could be the best of the rest, and then last year they finished just above Williams in the standings. And the frustration keeps piling up for this team, and it continues to, it makes you wonder how long is Gene Haas going to put up with this in Formula One, and how long will he stay in the sport? As an American viewer myself, I really hope that he finds a way to will himself through this and that Haas start getting some better results, because as an American viewer, this is sad to watch, honestly. We need better representation in the motorsport than this. Hopefully we get it sometime. I don't know when. But my next loser is Alfa Romeo. When the tire came off of Kimi Räikkönen's car, that basically summarized the weekend that Alfa Romeo had. Nothing went right for them. They got points by virtue of having a car out on the track. Basically, if you had a car on the track at the end of this race, you got points, except for poor Williams, because of course Williams wouldn't get points with 9 other cars wrecking. They would be that last one. Their qualifying was terrible. Absolutely abysmal. It was Williams level bad. It was Latifi, the 2 Romeo drivers, and then Russell for qualifying. Between them, Haas and Williams, the bottom seller this year should be very interesting to watch. And I think the race for last place will be a lot more interesting than in years past, that's for sure. But what do I know? So that was my thoughts on the Austrian Grand Prix. I would like to tell you guys that this is my first year really diving into Formula One, really diving into the motorsport. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to tell me about the sport, maybe that I should know, let me know. So, yeah, Austrian Grand Prix, Formula One, overall, good race because of safety cars coming out. And, yeah, there it is, Formula One. Golf is back. Golf has been back for 4 weeks now. And I just want to kind of run through all 4 of the events. I'll give you my thoughts on them and everything that went down. So, week 1, we had the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Golf Course. And this was a close affair, and it was awesome. The top 9 in the field were within 3 strokes of each other at the end of the weekend. And if you take out that last person, the 9th place, they were all within 2 strokes of each other. It was a close battle all weekend, multiple golfers tying the lead. This is the golf that we need going forward. I mean, it's nice to see guys like Tiger Woods get out there and dominate for a round and see what they can do. But exciting golf is close golf. And it's nice to see everyone in a given weekend, it seems like, have a chance to win. And the playoff between Daniel Berger and Colin Morikawa, there it is. That was great to watch too. Some new faces were added to a familiar top 10. We had Daniel Berger take the win. Obviously looked really good all weekend, along with Colin Morikawa. It was really impressive, only being 23, taking the runner-up spot. Along with these guys, we had Bryson DeChambeau, hot name in golf right now, hitting absolute bombs. Obviously is working out for him very well. We had some regulars in the top 10, Xander Schauffele, Justin Rose, Patrick Reed, a welcome appearance from Bubba Watson, Gary Woodland, and Jordan Spieth, who was basically at his home course, rounding out the top 10. Overall, great weekend of golf. Really good to see the season start with a mix of young and old, getting some regulars in the top 10, getting some new guys in the top 10. Overall, good stuff. Now, week 2, the RBC Heritage at Harbortown. Man, the golfers just kind of tore up this course. This was way too easy. This course should never come on the schedule again, or if it does, they need to lengthen out the tee boxes, narrow up the fairways. I don't know what they need to do, but there were 10 golfers who shot a 63, and there was a 62, which are 8 and 9 under par for this course, over the course of the weekend. Like I said, they just need to lengthen out the tees or something, because this is way too easy for everyone involved. Hopefully they'll get a little more of a challenge in the next coming weeks. Webb Simpson, after missing the cut last week, bounced back in a really big way. He looked cool, calm, collected all weekend, basically hitting every shot, it seemed like, on the golf course. Shot a pair of 65s and a 68 and then a 64 to finish off his weekend. He had everyone breathing down his back. He stayed consistent throughout the weekend. Abraham Anser and, once again, Daniel Berger were shooting really well. And he just kind of shrugged it off. Was like, whatever. I'll just go out there, do my thing, and we'll get this win this week. So, while sometimes it is nice to see low scores, like really low affair battles, just shootouts happening, it'd be nice to see, professional golfers facing an actual challenge on a different course. This was just way too short to really give anyone an actual challenge. So week 3, we had the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands. This was a little more fun to watch. We had a 60 come in from Mackenzie Hughes. It carried him to a T3 finish for the weekend. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Along with that 60, we got a 61 from none other than Dustin Johnson on moving day of all days, which is Saturday. And this would eventually turn into a win for him. It now gives him 13 years in a row where he's had a win on the tour. This is, I don't know where it's at in comparison to Tiger Woods, but I know that he's getting there compared to those other guys. This should get him back into the top 5 of the rankings after having a pretty rough week last week. For his standards, good to see Dustin Johnson back up on the stage getting a win. And congrats are in place for Will Gordon. So for those of you who don't know, Will Gordon was a sponsor's exemption for this course. I believe, I don't know how exactly he got it, but I think he used one of his personal exemptions, and he finished T3 with Daniel Berger, which gives him a temporary membership to the tour. This allowed him to play in Detroit because with the Korn Ferry Tour being canceled, this is the only way he can still compete for his tour card. Hopefully he makes the most of it, so he needs to earn as many non-member FedEx Cup points as the 25th person on the leaderboard, of which he's currently 79th. So all the best to Will Gordon. Hopefully he can get it done. I'm rooting for him. And hopefully he can get his tour card. So that would be really exciting stuff for him. Overall, good weekend of golf. Good to see DJ get a win. Good to see Will Gordon. Some good stories going on here. He should be in the top 5 then, Dustin Johnson. So, yeah, good weekend all around at the Travelers Championship. So then this last weekend of golf, the Rocket Mortgage Championship at Detroit Golf Club, and once again, this was an easy day of golf for most of the golfers. This course is pretty straightforward, pretty wide open, I guess it seemed like is the word for it. Kind of a cakewalk. And you saw Bryson DeChambeau, who had been challenging top 10s, top 5s, top 10s. He finally got his win. After weeks of top 10s, he finally put it together. Like I say, like everyone always says, it's always drive for show, putt for dough. And for me, the biggest thing with Bryson was just his wedge play. He finally put it together. That to me, like with these big, long drivers on the course, they really can smash the crap out of the ball. But then when they get around with their wedges and they really need to get it on the green in a good spot, they just kind of fall flat. That's what I usually find with them anyway. For the ones who aren't as good, Bryson seemed this week to finally put it all together. So good for him. I think he really represents a change in the game of golf. Sort of a new face. What we've been seeing for years, but we'll get to that. Then we had Kevin Kisner finishing in the top 3. Obviously a very popular golfer because of the Barstool guys, because of the Foreplay guys. If you guys watch them at all, he's done a lot of stuff with those guys. He switched his driver out to one that Callaway made in 2015. And obviously it did well for him. He had a bogey-free 65 on Thursday, and he kept up the consistency for the whole week. And he earned his first top 3 finish since last year in June. And as he says, this ain't a hobby for him. So congrats to Kiz getting back on the top 3. Hopefully he can keep up that momentum, shoot some good golf going forward. We all want to see him back doing well on the tour. And congrats to Kiz. So some general takeaways from the weekend. I mean, for a while it's been obvious, but the future of the sport is power. Power's been dominating the past couple of years with the likes of Rory, Brooks, Koepka, Dustin Johnson, guys of this caliber, just smashing the absolute living crap out of the golf ball, basketball. What am I thinking? So in this new age of golf, the winners will have to drive the ball, 310, maybe 320, at the minimum to have a chance. Like I say, it's always drive for show, putt for dough. So I think you'll see many golfers starting to hit 310, 320 as the years go on. But I think, as is with golf, I think always it's your wedge play and your ability to get the ball on a green in a safe spot and at least give yourself a chance for birdie every time. I think that's what wins you the tournaments. But certainly hitting the ball 320, 340, whatever, that's not going to hurt your chances. So power is the obvious way in the future. You're not going to see many precision guys sort of dinking the ball around the course. To me, that's too safe to play on the tour. You got to go out there, smash driver when you can, and just kind of belt it down the course and give yourself a chance at some birdies. So then I have some young golfers to watch, and we actually have quite an exciting young field of golfers out there. First off, last week's runner-up, Matthew Wolff. I'm sure anyone who's familiar with the tour has known this guy for a little while now. He's got this super wacky swing. I can't even describe it. So most guys go like around their body and up with the swing. He sort of does like this weird like undercut thing where he like way over exaggerates the tilt of the club. He's got this weird kickstart maneuver to his swing. Overall, really exciting guy to watch. He's consistently battling with the best. I hope to see more out of him this year. More performances like he had. So yeah, watch out for Matthew Wolff. Also, we have Colin Morikawa. He has a nice, easy swing. He got the second longest streak of finishes within the cut behind a certain person hailing from Windermere, Florida, that being Tiger Woods. That's pretty good company to be in. Hopefully he keeps it up. He's got a nice swing. Colin Morikawa. Next up, not really a young guy, but someone who's like a late bloomer on the course, Daniel Berger. Out of the tournaments he's played in, he's had a win and then had a runner-up the next week. So hopefully he can keep that streak going. It'd be nice to see him continue to play some solid golf. Then we had a guy who I've been a fan of for a decent amount of time, Abraham Answer. He hasn't missed the top 15 in any of his outings this year. He's another young guy. I think he's 21, maybe 22. And he had a second-place finish at the RBC Heritage, just battling with Webb Simpson. But Webb Simpson right now is just on a different level than everybody else, so that's kind of expected. So keep him on your radar. I think he's a young guy who's really going to show out this year as the year goes on. And then an obvious name to throw in there, Victor Hovland, the guy who always wears the bright pants. He hasn't gone without a top 25 finish this year. Another guy with a nice, pretty swing. He should look to get into the top 10 pretty soon. Hope to see him there, Victor Hovland. He's a good talent to watch. And then obviously, Bryson DeChambeau. I have talked about him a lot. Everyone's talking about him a lot. But what's not to say? What's not to like about him? Big, strong driver. Really, I do appreciate that he took his time off and he worked his butt off to gain, I think it was the 30 pounds or something like that. He put on a muscle. And obviously, the hard work that he put in over the break is really paying off. So I really appreciate that from him. And hopefully going forward, he can really make something out of this. So that's all the show I have for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Just as a side note, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can tell, obviously, by the name of this, the Sports Porch. I am outside recording this on my porch. So you may hear some stuff in the background at times. If it gets to be too annoying, you guys are like, I can't focus at all. There's just too much going on in the background. I understand that. The microphone I chose the wrong type. I didn't realize I would be doing this outside at first, but I'd already spent the money on it. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to go with it, see how it works out. So if it is an issue with you guys, just let me know. I can change up the microphone. There's some things I can do to reduce that level of background noise, I guess, that you guys hear. But otherwise, that's it. Thank you so much for watching once again, whether it be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. Socials, YouTube, at The Sports Porch, Twitter, at The Sports Porch, Instagram, at The Sports Porch. My personal Instagram is JeffreyA2017. I'll try to post a little more consistently on there. I haven't posted in, gosh knows how long it's been. But yeah, hopefully with the start of this, it'll get me to be a little more active on there. So go ahead, give those links a follow. I appreciate everybody tuning in, listening once again. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys on the next one. This has been The Sports Porch. I'm Jeffrey Anderson. Have a good one.